Warning, the following fanfiction contains unsettling themes and lore from the Roblox game. Pressure. Some information presented may be uncomfortable for some audiences. Please listen at your own discretion. Thank you.
But YN wasn't treated like them, at least mostly. YN had a lot more freedom when it came to working at Urbanshade, although it wasn't always fun. Their vast knowledge that seemingly came from nowhere put them in a great position, though every day they questioned where it came from. It became harder and harder to ignore the life they might have had, if they had any. As far as YN knew, this is all they had done. Since they were an adult, though some memories flash in their dreams or random thoughts, there was never enough time to think about it. It was one mission after another.
Ready for your mission?
Dr. Joy, a resident and head doctor at Urbanshade, came to check up on them.
Did your wounds heal from the previous visit?
YN pulled their sleeve down to reveal just a red line where their original wound had been located. They had tripped and fell on debris a few doors into the facility, simplest injury in a long while. I don't know what meds you've got down here, Doc, but it all heals in like 2 days. They leaned back on their arms as their legs kicked a bit off the examination table. Trying to turn me into one of those monsters down here? Dr. Joy laughed a little.
Yes, like we need more of those.
Well, it's experimental, right?
Well, not really. I take it to heal a cut anyway.
He shrugged, then handed off his file to them.
Take this down to the guardsmen at the substation. Tell them you're approved for another retrieval mission.
YN's smile fell, turning their head away from the doctor. He sighed. He knew.
It's your job. I know.
They took it from them. Just getting...
Hey, you'll come back here with more information and you'll get a good long break. I'll order it myself if I have to.
He placed his hands on their shoulders.
Remember the...
Fence are my friends, the fish are not, and ignore the big dumb shark. YN rolled their eyes before smirking. I think I've been at the black site more than you at this point.
Don't get cocky.
He stood back with a slight smile and reached up into the cabinet.
Or I won't give you your surprise.
YN leaned over slightly to see what he was grabbing, but was unable to as he hid it behind his back.
Hey, no peeking.
Hand it over. I have to get going. He sighed and held out a blacklight, a rare flashlight very few get to use on the trip down to the site. Usually only higher-ranking members can get their hands on it, or it's found at the site. YN looked at the light, then at him. Don't tell me you stole this.
No, I didn't steal it. I went on a routine recovery one and one of the guys had it.
He tossed it. YN caught it. Ew, you stole this off a dead guy?
YN, focus here. It'll keep those damn squiddles away. That's what matters.
They observed it, turning it on, then off. There had been a few times the squiddles knocked them out pretty early on in their retrieval missions, which was annoying for everyone until they were recovered. Good, I'll have a head start then. YN slid off the table and put the light in their utility belt, which was pretty empty aside from the flashlight given to them earlier.
Be careful this time.
The launch pads were always jam-packed with expendables. They were the lowest life forms, according to the company. Murderers, mostly. Even people sold off to the company from third parties. Part of YN's job was to blend in with these people. They were no murderer. No one harmful. They wouldn't even really hurt a fly compared to most of these guys. But each of them always made their hair stand on their neck.
What are you down here for?
They jolted as a tall man with a few tattoos spoke up near them. Murder? They had hoped the man would believe it. Not many ever spoke to them.
No shit, Sherlock. Most of us are.
I killed my, old teacher from school. The man nodded at them.
Give you an F?
He set my house on fire. YN gave a 1,000-yard stare, hoping it would steer the guy away. It didn't.
Damn, that's pretty rough.
Yeah, YN stammered, as the large elevator came to a halt. When the gates opened up, the submarines came into view, revealing tons of criminals walking around the area, some trying to buddy up for their mission, others trying to break into completely sealed-off rooms, and many trying to escape. YN knew this was pointless. However, you couldn't get out of this place. The only way was through, with a false promise of getting the crystal.
Let's travel together.
Before YN could object, they had an arm from the stranger around their neck, pulling them along the path that led to the two-person submarine. Huh?
The name's Spike. What do they call you?
He only let go right in front of the sub, pushing YN inside. They tripped briefly, their answer coming out in a slight stutter, making sure they wouldn't fall. YN.
Nice to meet you, kid. We're gonna rock this shit, alright?
The doors closed behind them. YN swallowed hard. This never worked out for anyone, ever. Except for them. Due to the location of the site, it took about 30 minutes to dive deep enough down to the area. It was difficult to do, as the radio didn't like to work often.
Pay attention to that briefing?
Spike spoke up, folding his arms behind his head, leaning against the metal. Yeah, I did, YN answered softly. They'd done it 100 times before, knowing most of the entire video by heart at this point.
You think they'll really let us out of here if we get the crystal shit?
I don't know, YN shrugged. I know as much as you do. Which was the partial truth. No one has ever gotten the crystal, and no one had ever returned from the trips, except for them. I did some studying on the monsters and how they act around here from their files. If you stick close, maybe we can—
Hey.
He interrupted.
Who says you get to run the show?
Oh. YN held up their hands. I'm not trying to tell you what to do. The submarine bumped a bit, hitting some turbulence. I heard a lot of people died doing this stuff, so I wanted to double check everything. You know, to get out safely. Spike rolled his eyes at them.
Whatever. You just let me go ahead, and I'll handle those big bad monsters.
It was apparent he didn't pay attention to the briefing, which was the downfall of many initial expeditions. After a bit more silence, the submarine came to a stop, the doors opened slowly, a familiar voice came over the loudspeaker. YN took a deep breath and pulled their bag over their shoulder. Time to get to work.
Jeez, how do they know when you're done here?
Spike looked around the room and followed YN, who began gathering items as they saw. Once we get the crystal, the sub will pick us up. It'll be, easy. As they were about to grab a double helix tube, Spike grabbed their arm.
You're gonna leave me the big stuff, got it? I need to get out of this place, and I won't let you get in my way.
YN glared for a moment before yanking their arm back. Fine by me.